real language did you just speak to your cat?
The Norwegian fairy language. Yes.
Hello. Happy
Hello.
Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
I need you to know. So I, especially like when I have to cosplay at home, I'll get dressed in like segments. So like there's 3/4 of this outfit that's just a normal outfit, and I'm just like walking around like making coffee and stuff. But then the minute the last two pieces go on, I'm a different person.
Mm.
But the best part about cosplaying at home is the fact that underneath all of this, I am wearing fuzzy black slippers.
I am wearing woolen socks and leg warmers.
I am
But
wearing fuzzy black slippers underneath all of this.
I was wearing, while putting on the makeup and everything, I had this
Mhm.
gigantic woolen knit jacket that my grandma made for me. But now my arms are bare and I might actually die. The things I do for Shuichi Shindo.
I was gonna say no one asked you to do this, but literally Patreon did
Well,
make
they
us do
didn't.
this.
They didn't ask me to do the
The one that doesn't have
the
sleeves.
Kitsune Mix version. No.
It's a great outfit. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the thing. No one said which versions we had to do. So
No.
I pulled my ref to be as comfortable as humanly possible because I'm in my fucking apartment and I'm not going to Target dressed like this.
Well, I was out earlier today. I'm gonna put clothes back on later. But like I had the ears and I was like, I want to use the ears, and then I remembered what the Kitsune Mix looked like. Thank you.
Though I will say, going to Target dressed like this, I promise it's my favorite part of like being a cosplayer is 90% of people don't know who you are, but that one person who does and is terrified.
I'm just imagining like Toma would be the worst Karen. Like if he went to like Target, he would be
Oh, he'd be
awful.
so belligerent.
Oh my
So like,
god.
well, no, it's applicable now, but like, so in Texas, you can't buy alcohol on Sundays at a certain before a certain time. I think it has to be like after 11. It's noon now, so but like Toma would absolutely be that person like standing in front of the closed off section at Walmart, like I need Riesling. It's like, sir, it's 9:45 in the morning. I need Riesling.
Oh god.
I
That
don't
explains
get.
that explains a lot actually. You know, hair is like, I mean everything is closed on Sundays, but
Yeah.
the alcohol sales in Norway, they at the grocery stores, they close at 8 p.m. in on the regular, like on the weekdays, and then 6 p.m. on Saturdays. And then
So what do you do?
and the stores go into like total, like you can't, literally physically cannot purchase it, and people get on the case of these poor people working the register because obviously it's their fault, but they can't, like they can't do it. You can't complete the purchase because there's a
So
blockage in the system after a certain time.
so what do you guys? Is that why everyone gets drunk in Denmark? Like, what do you guys do?
I mean, I don't drink, so I don't know. It's just but it's like a race against time. You'll see people rushing to the register 5 minutes before the alcohol sales close,
Me,
and they're just like stressed. And
me.
and then of course we have the what is literally called the wine monopoly, which is like everything that is above a certain percentage of alcohol can only be purchased at specific stores, and they're called the wine monopoly.
I don't have time to get into this, but I have a lot of questions. So, welcome to the Yaoi Shelf Live. We are celebrating spooky season and our very, very fun episode on villain fuckery. If you have questions, comments, concerns, you want to talk about the episode, we will be here with me dressed as the greatest BL villain that has ever existed.
True.
Um,
And I am dressed as one of the biggest victims of said horrible, horrible man.
Now, I will say, at any point in time, Suichi could leave.
But he how? I,
Could
I mean
leave.
it's I mean it's not like Toma didn't try to make him leave, but
Yeah, you get the hint. Leave.
if you let him take his man, then he'll leave. But
Oh, that's the
unfortunately,
problem. That's the
Toma
problem. Will
Toma
not
has
let him take care.
Toma has
No.
Shuichi's husband in a fucking chokehold.
Well,
Literally.
yeah, literally. Uh, So I've had a great time thinking about this, and again, as like the number one person who listens to these episodes in hindsight, uh,
You're our biggest fan.
I really am. One thing that I know that like we didn't talk about were a lot of like, well, I know you mentioned one with Battle Royale, but like live action villains
Yes.
and women. Now we don't talk about women a lot on the Yaoi Shelf for
I
various
wonder
reasons.
why.
We don't talk about women frequently on the Yaoi Shelf. However, there are some female villains that are very, very compelling, and there are some live action villains that are very, very compelling. Uh, the reason why we probably, at least for me, didn't talk about live action very much is because that's where it gets into the weird part of I have a hard time shipping IRL people.
I'll help you. Okay.
I don't like that. Like I still like
No, okay, so I just want to specify. I don't usually ship like the people, but
yes.
the characters, the live action
Yeah,
characters.
yeah. Well, and that's what I mean. So, like, one of the big things that came to mind for me while I was like listening to the episode as I was driving was Game of Thrones.
Mm.
And Game of Thrones has some incredibly fuckable villains for me, but they're all like, I would like to sleep with them,
Mm.
and not necessarily I want to see them sleep with each other. And a lot of that is heavily influenced by that's still a person. So
Mm.
even though I can say I want Lannister cest with Jaime Lannister and Tywin Lannister, his dad, that's still Nikolai Coster-Waldau and Charles Dance.
Mm.
And especially for me, because Game of Thrones, I don't really have a deep rooting in the books. I know in the books they look a lot different than they do in the HBO series. So when you say insert Game of Thrones character here, I'm imagining the HBO actor. So I have an easier time with it with comics occasionally because comic book characters have canonical depictions that aren't just Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth.
Who are the only actors who exist apparently.
We don't have time to talk about monopolies and shit. But like for me, Game of Thrones doesn't really have that. It's like when I want to say I want to sleep with Auber and Martell, it's I want to fuck Pedro Pascal. Which
Mm.
so I really like a lot of Game of Thrones villains. I would absolutely let Charles Dance lay me out. He's a scary old man, and I love him.
Sounds like your type.
Listen, he is a ruthless, domineering old man who is pragmatic and evil. And he has several children, all of them he is disappointed in.
It's like it sounds like Endeavor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, don't leave. I don't want to do the stream alone, Amanda. Please don't leave me.
He's not as. I think somehow Endeavor is a better parent because somehow Endeavor is a better dad. He has Cersei and Jaime, who are like his two favorite children, and they're fucking each other. They're twins. They're fucking each other.
I picked up that one.
Yeah, and he's just like full in denial about it. He's just like, no, this isn't happening. And it's like, really? Really? Like everyone knows, everyone says it to his face, and he's just like, no, my kids aren't fucking. And it's like, okay, sir. I usually separate characters from their actors, so I don't usually have. And see, I like to say that I don't, but then so like I went through like a really really weird rabbit hole where like there was one writer who was just doing like a ton of like supernatural improv, and I don't know why that tickled a fancy for me, but then it just like kept flashing in my head like, oh, Jensen Ackles, and it was like I can't read this anymore because this is a person, this isn't just a fictional character.
Mm.
And especially like Jensen, where like he's in that new oh my god, The Boys spinoff, and he's literally just cussier Dean Winchester. He's just Dean Winchester who can cuss. So it's very just like, oh, you're just that guy. And anytime I read like Destiel, it's not just like two fictional characters, it's Misha Collins and Jensen Ackles.
Hmm.
Which I'm not saying isn't hot, and I'm not saying, you're a bad person if that does it for you. I think for me, it always comes down to what if someone was doing that for me and I didn't know about it.
Hmm.
Like we've
Yeah.
talked about that. Like if someone was writing
Yeah.
like Amanda X Corolla fic, which please don't. But
Don't. Like,
no,
listen,
please.
we're not yucking
No.
anyone's yum, but don't do
But
that.
don't. Yeah.
I
But
have
don't.
not consented to
I've
that.
also not considered. But like so I imagine it like that. Like if I didn't have control over like something that is so like the one thing that I truly own, my visage, then that's like a violation that I'm not comfortable with.
Yeah, but I mean that's one thing, because as you're saying this, like I'm going through like
Mm-hmm.
basically just a lot of imagery from all of these live action series I watched flashing through my head, and I
Mm-hmm.
think to a certain degree I am very good at separating the actor
Right.
from the character
Right.
until like if I get particularly attached to one character or one set of characters and then they play different characters, I
Mm-hmm.
struggle with that because I still kind of see those characters, but that's on a character basis, not like
Mm-hmm.
the actors. But not only the visage part, but I would feel so uncomfortable with someone like trying to write my personality or like what I am like sexually.
Without
Like,
knowing
no,
me or
thank you. Have
right.
like no. And I think that like and I come from a place that like I've talked about this before. I don't and please do refer to our episode with Dr. Thomas because we did talk a little bit about that. He's very good at the whole real life ships and
Mm-hmm.
K-pop fandom, that whole thing and the Thai BL
Mm-hmm.
and everything. But I come from Visual K. It's
Mm-hmm.
very hard not to ship the Visual K bando men with each other
Mm-hmm.
because they fan service a lot. So it's not like I haven't, it's like it's hard to not do it. But also it's
Mm-hmm.
very strange to me to try to write like a person's personality and like preferences. Because
Mm-hmm.
again, like the stage persona or the like even if the actor does interviews, you still don't know them. So you're just
Right.
projecting onto them.
Right. And I think like for me, at least in those instances, like that persona is so much like another character that I guess it's a little bit easier for me. But yeah, like I was thinking about that because like Game of Thrones has some villains that I think are iconic and amazing. Ramsay Bolton is fantastic and like talk about someone who is just like irredeemable and terrible and bad. I mean, you have the worst pirate ever in, in Euron Greyjoy, the worst hot topic pirate that has ever existed. You have Tywin Lannister, who is just mansplain, male wife manipulate in a nutshell.
Wow.
Cersei Lannister, talk about a female villain and girl boss. Step on me. But like, I'm not imagining Cersei Lannister in the comics. I'm imagining Lena Headey.
Mm.
Like those are inextricably linked. So like when I say I want Cersei Lannister to step on me, it's I want Lena Headey as Cersei Lannister to step on me. Like a random woman as Cersei Lannister is not going to do the same thing for me. A random dude dressed as Oberyn Martell is just a dude in a smock. I want Pedro Pascal.
Well, that's what happens when you get big name actors attached to these names. Because it could have been
Right.
different if you only read the novels. Like if there
Right.
was no, and you had to make your own image because there was
Right.
no person to attach that to.
Right. And it's interesting because, like, I know we're not supposed to talk about Harry Potter anymore, but I didn't have that issue with Harry Potter until much later in my fan journey. I guess, like, when I gained sentience. But, like, when I was a kid, it's like, It's like when children learn how to roll over. When I gained empathy in my 20s,
You have empathy?
it might shock you, but this might be shocking considering, but yes.
Don't you empathize me, Thomas Heggie?
This might be shocking considering, but yes, I do. But like, so when I gained empathy in my mid 20s, suddenly I had a problem with it, especially when everyone was leaking those images of like Daniel Radcliffe and Equus where he was naked riding a fake horse.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, he didn't want this. Like he just wanted to do this dumb, weird horse fucker fetish play.
I still don't know what this play is about.
So Equus is about a young man in Seattle who goes through serious sexual trauma and discovers that he feels his most self when he is part of like riding a horse, and he does it naked. He murders a horse and tries to fuck a girl, and he's like riding a horse naked in the fields because don't look at me like that.
No, I was fine until the murdering the horse part. I'm
He
like,
does murder a horse.
why do you murder the horse? Like, okay,
He murders a different horse,
okay,
not the
so
horse.
Daniel Radcliffe in Equus automatically a villain because he killed a horse.
No, he is the hero of the story.
No, I refuse.
That is another reason I can separate things. I don't have any characters with myself or with any other characters. Yeah, and that's fair. Like I think a lot of it is it's a reflexiveness. And again, like a problem I didn't have. Well, no, I'm lying. I did have a problem with it when it was like bands. And I've talked about this when it was Quizilla, where it was like, oh, like the way brothers are kissing each other. And it's like, those are actual brothers. Please don't say that. Like, I don't care how like close they look on stage. Like, those are actual brothers. Don't say that. But then you get things like Supernatural where like the waters get really, really muddied because there is no Dean Winchester without Jensen Ackles. There is no Sam Winchester without Jared Padalecki. There is no Castiel without Misha Collins. Like this isn't like even like Doctor Who. People say that, you know, the 10th or the 9th Doctor, well, no one says it's the 9th but me. It's the 10th or the 11th Doctor, the sexy one. Because it's fucking David Tennant and I don't remember the other guy.
Yeah, what's his
Matt
name?
Smith.
Yeah.
Because he plays Aegon Targaryen in House of Dragon and everyone wants to fuck him. Even though he wants to fuck his niece.
How very Game of Thrones of him.
I was watching the Take video and it was talking about like the toxic male, and they tried to analogize that it's like, oh, well, the reason why like people like Andrew Tate and the Manosphere are popular is because of toxic men on TV, and they mention Aegon Targaryen, or it's Daemon Targaryen. It's one of the fucking Targaryens. I don't care. It's one of the Targaryens that wants to.
I don't know who they are anyway, so it's fine.
It's one of the incestual Targaryens, which is all of them, and it's like him who wants to fuck his niece. Okay, listen. If you're gonna point out House of the Dragon and you're gonna say this one character is problematic because of the one thing every Targaryen is known for, which is brother fucking, shut up, the Take. Shut the fuck up. But yeah, like it's interesting to think about that because yeah, like I started thinking about like live action villains that I really, really liked, and it's like I wonder why none of these people came to mind. And it's like, oh, it's because I still have a hard time envisioning a lot of like outside of just like very like surface level, like, ooh, Charles Dance, like, you know, like flights of fancy of a horrible sociopath. The flights of fancy of a horrible sociopath, me. I have a hard time conceptualizing them outside of that. So
I'm just sitting here trying to think because I always go for the villain. Like you're watching a movie and I'll be like, oh, the villain is so cool or he's so hot or whatever. And now, again, I cannot remember a single villain in anything I've ever seen, which I think is like, what is this? I'm like looking over at my DVD shelf trying to remember any villain.
I also want to talk about one thing that I think is interesting, as I am dressed as literally one of the greatest villains in BL, BL's villain problem. And oh boy, does it go back to those Sojo roots, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
Like these series really are just like bereft in like serious stakes and issues. And then when we do get like someone who is objectively awful, I mean, we talked about him forever last month or month whenever we talked about Antique Bakery, Jean Baptiste, who is literally the worst guy ever.
He is awful.
They still have to like, oh well, you know, he makes a great Mont Blanc. I guess it's okay.
You know, I don't know, Ono. I think that if someone beat me within an inch of my life, I wouldn't forgive them just because they made me a cake.
I can't. I can't promise that.
Oh my god!
I'm not a good person.
Of course, I'm not a cake person.
Yeah, you're not a cake person to begin. I mean, I also can't eat Mont Blancs, so don't make me a Mont Blanc.
Okay, note to self: if I ever beat up Amanda, don't make her a Mont Blanc.
Okay, but also you beating me up.
Also, me baking. I mean,
yeah, there's 15 things that are wrong with this right off the bat. One, you beating me up.
That was extremely hypothetical.
Yeah, we are in full Star Trek simulation portal.
Yeah, I don't think that was particularly realistic. But yeah. I
mean, you have someone who really is objectively terrible. Right? Right?
I don't like
you have someone who I love sweets. You have someone who's objectively terrible, but because of the limitations of the genre, because it's Sojo, because the time, really, I'm going to say, you are limited to, oh, well, you know, he was a kind of a shitty guy, but I know you guys haven't seen The Untamed, but there are so many amazing villains in that show. Ooh.
I will watch it, but I tried watching Modao Sushi and I just couldn't get into it, so I have to make someone watch it with me. But then someone else said that was the worst one to watch with. I did watch Scum Villain. I did enjoy Scum Villain. I just can't remember a lot of it. But I think the main character there is technically the villain.
The word good friend feels like it's doing a lot of heavy lifting in the synopsis.
What, The Untamed?
Yeah. Wei Wuxian and good friend. Good friend. I don't know a lot.
It's Chinese, Amanda. They're good friends.
Okay, I don't know a lot about
with
this.
Each other's jade sticks.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like that word "good friend" is doing a lot of heavy lifting right there.
No, you never had a gal pal? I actually just ordered the 2 first volumes of Scum Villain. I'm very excited to read the novels. I mean, anyone who's been listening to the show for a while knows that I am completely blindsided by Danmei. I don't know where to start, and I don't think it is for me because it's too
fanciful.
Fanciful. I like my BL realistic with giant mecha pandas and.
I never say anything, but just know it's in the back of my head whenever you say shit like that. Where it's like, I like grounded, realistic series, and I'm just like.
And then my favorite thing is Gravitation.
Yeah, just know I never say it because it's not usually worth it.
I know, I'm very aware. No, but I don't know. It's like I started reading Cemetery Boys. It's my Halloween read this year. And now I'm like halfway through it. I'm really enjoying it. But at first I had such a hard time because one, I'm not that familiar with, Mexican culture in general. But also there was so much like talk of spirits and raising the spirits. And I was like, this is going over my head. I'm not.
I know you can just ask me, right?
Or I can ask Google. But
okay, fuck off. There are more realistic Danmei, I think, though. It's not all fantasy. There are detective ones. Okay. Yeah, like, I do have a feeling that Danmei is a lot like yaoi, where it's an umbrella term, not one specific genre.
I just think
So
that like the most popular ones seem to be the ones that are rooted in fantasy and Chinese mythology, which are things that I
things that you don't know.
don't know. But yeah, no. Uh
Oh right, our Arctic blast hits tonight.
oh, fun.
Yeah.
I feel you. It is so fucking cold. It's Halloween is on Wednesday,
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Oh god, is it on Tuesday?
It's on Tuesday.
No, that means NaNoWriMo starts on Wednesday.
Yes.
Oh no.
When it'll be
Oh,
even harder to get a hold of
oh,
Corolla than it
kill
already
me.
is.
I hate it. No, but it's supposed to be -7 degrees Celsius here on Halloween. Like these children are gonna die.
Um, our current low for today is 5.
Celsius?
Yeah, I convert for you.
Thank you. Well, it's still that doesn't sound so bad.
Fuck off.
It's so
That's frigid for South Texas,
you
though.
don't know what it's like.
We don't. It's fucking Texas, Corolla. This is cold for us.
Don't come here. You'll
I'm not.
perish.
So they read like those super old, beautiful, tragic. Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we've both admitted that this is like one of our blind spots. We talked about it in our BL blind spot. So like neither of us are in this world because we picked one thing, and that's been the horse we've been riding since we were teenagers.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we're more than happy to. I mean, especially as like the market continues to become saturated with it, which I have questionable feelings about considering the consistent geopolitical moves that China is making, especially
Yeah.
with their Uyghur population. Um,
Yeah. No, I'll try. But I have made an informed decision because I can't keep up with everything. And I was like, something has to go.
can we take a moment to acknowledge Amanda just saying like political dissident stuff? Because I remember in the main episode, I talked about Killmonger and starting a race war and saying that that's worked 0 times because the FBI will just assassinate people, and then like blatantly mentioning China's forced internment, slavery, and murder of their native Uyghur population. Welcome to Amanda's Dissident Corner. See, I care about the geopolitics a lot because it's interesting to me that China, and I've said this about Korea and K-pop as well, that there's a lot of stuff that these countries don't want us to see or think about, and they've managed to create an air of don't look, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain because of these things.
Mm.
So like I have that huge issue with K-pop, where Korea especially still has a massive issue with skin being too dark and bleaching being popular. They are still massively racist against African Americans and people of African descent while taking and appropriating a lot of African culture and African American subculture in the form of hip hop and rap while being openly hostile to people of color. But oh look, there's a BTS doing a thing. Don't worry about it.
I mean, you can use soft power for a lot of things, like
Yeah,
distraction.
and like I guess like for me, that has always put a bitter taste in my mouth. Like whenever I see this stuff, like that's where I'll fully admit, like when Dr. Thomas talks about like, you know, like looking at media from East Asia and having like an air of suspicion, that's where mine is. And it's like, oh, these countries that are making moves that are dangerous, that actually do violate laws in America, like, no, that's not okay. Like, Temu has that problem here in the US. Temu is one of the biggest shopping apps that came out of China. And in FTC bylaws, Americans are not allowed to buy products that come out of a particular part of China where Uyghur internment is happening.
Oh.
But Temu violates that
Mm.
regularly. It essentially says our products are being made by slaves. And because they're a distributor like Amazon, they don't care and they write that off.
Yeah, that's
So yeah, like I I'm not here to harsh anyone's yums, but like I definitely there's a reason why like Don May has been pretty low on my list. Yeah, I mean it all looks very neat. They're killing the planet and
Who?
enslaving people.
Oh. But no, I was like, what the Danmei actors? No, but I get
No,
what you
not
mean.
not the yes, the Don May actors individually.
Yes.
Each of them has their own plantation.
Oh my god.
No,
but
like, yes.
but it's difficult, you know, because it's like because again, it's not black and white. It's like because as we talk about a lot about, you know, the Fujin pipeline and how important BL and within that all forms of BL, including Danmei, are to, you know, discovering yourself and your identity and your gender and becoming more aware and everything. So Danmei and similar subgenres of BL are important for that, and especially in countries like China, where, you know, they have to be so subtle about it because technically it's illegal. But so it is incredibly important, but it's like a dual-edged sword because, you know, you want to support the one bit and then of course you're allowed to enjoy. Why?
That's a good question. It shouldn't be.
Because you're allowed to enjoy what you enjoy and still consume it critically. But, you know, it's, and everything is problematic on some level.
Absolutely. Like, I'm not, like, please don't take me saying this as like the only ideologically pure thing to do is read yaoi. Not at all. Everything has their problems, but like there's a reason why Danmei has been particularly low on my list, in the same way that K-pop and like a lot of like K-drama has been low on my list, despite what Corolla is going to start making me do.
That is Thai.
I know.
I hate K-pop.
I'm just
putting that out there. Like, no offense to anyone, I just don't like it. I can't get into it.
It sounds fine to me, which is very, very weird because people talk about it like it's the second coming of Michael Jackson, and it all just sounds fine.
I just think, you know, and I'm the one to talk. Like, I do realize that a lot of like visual K sounds alike. So to me, all K-pop sounds the same. And also, there's just a lot of things in K-pop that, aside from how much I hate the idol industry as a whole, which goes for, you know, J-pop and K-pop and the Thai industry and all of that. But it's just, there's a lot of things in K-pop that are just very much not my musical tastes. And so I just don't like it. But yeah, no, yeah. But you're about to get into, that's different. That has nothing to do with any of those things.
I'm going to be like fully a Clockwork Orange tied to a chair, and Girl is going to make me watch the board.
It's going to be so much fun. You're going to love it.
If you aren't signed up to Patreon yet,
come join us.
Time to be a patron so you can watch me suffer.
Listen, I had to listen to you read a Megaverse fanfic out loud to me, which was great.
Don't compare the two.
Even though I don't like a Megaverse and I don't understand it. But
yes, don't compare the two. I did a great job.
No, you did a great job, especially the dissociation in the middle. That was
the disassociation in the middle is the best part. But yeah, if you, let's see. Oh, connection is bad. Not all comments work. That's unfortunate. But yeah, if you have questions, comments, concerns about the episode, I saw the villain song for the new Disney movie Wish. It's awful.
Well.
It's terrible. Disney, what the fuck are you doing?
Were talking about how the villains get the best musical numbers. Well,
it's literally the worst song I've ever heard.
Oh, okay.
It's Chris Pine, who's the least good Chris.
I don't even know which one that is. What has he been in?
He's in the new Star Treks. I like some K-pop, but it's not a genre. Yes. He's in the new Star Treks. He was in Into the Woods. Don't look at me like that.
I was thinking. I was trying to think. Do I know any of these? Because you know, what have I been doing for the past year, Amanda? What have I been watching? I've been watching Kid Force.
He was in Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, I saw that one.
Fuck off! Fuck off!
What?
Fuck off! I'm over here trying so hard to
Well,
look.
I saw that one. What? Who did
Fuck
he play? I still don't know who
He's-
he is.
He's the main character. He's the main bard dude in Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
Okay, fuck off. He is the least good Chris.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yes.
I've never said it was bad. I've said it looks mediocre.
You don't. No, but seriously, it's very good. And if you compare it to other, like, there are so many mafia BLs coming out now, and everyone looks, they're so small, like they're so baby faced, and then the Kim Porsche boys are like, they're men.
Okay.
Listen, you're gonna enjoy it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Ren. Will you?
Okay.
We're gonna talk about
You talked about them in Patreon.
Vegas.
Yes. Yes.
I want to punch him in the face.
Okay. But yeah, so Disney decided that they're cowards and they hate villains now, which sucks.
Well, I mean, you gotta hate villains now, because if not, you're problematic. Forget about making your employees sleep in your car, in their cars.
It's
in
Walt
your
Disney's
car.
It's Walt Disney's car. It's Walt Disney's
No, that is
old
actually
car.
true. That is actually true. Like, they don't even own the cars.
Yeah, they don't own the car. One of my friends did the Disney college program.
Oh, wow.
And I remember listening to her talk about it, and I'm just like, this is indentured servitude. And like, she was so happy because it's like, oh my God, it's like a once in a lifetime, blah, blah, blah. I'm an Imagineer. Blah, blah. And I'm like, this is slave labor. Like, what
I mean,
you?
you're still working in customer service with
According to the internet, YouTube is down. Really?
Wow, but we're here.
Yeah. That's weird. Anyways.
Very strange. Okay.
Gotta love the internet.
Look at us persevering through the...
Yeah. Look at us persevering despite all odds. But yeah,
we're too powerful. Our outfits are too powerful. We did it. It's us. We are the villains.
Every once in a while, I imagine what'll be the lasting piece of media that is still me. I was watching this video about like the earliest recorded names in history, and that most people that are born now will never be remembered because everything that we have our names on is ephemeral. It isn't like stone or anything like that. And one, that made me very, very sad. But then two, the things of mine that aren't ephemeral that people are going to hold on to. I am horrified at what those things are. I am horrified at the things that are squirreled away on things that are not ephemeral and that will survive possible nuclear explosions and shit.
Well, maybe people who knew you won't survive the nuclear explosions and no one will know.
I kind of hope they don't, because nuclear holocaust is like high key the worst thing to live through. Anyways, we've been major downers. I've been the villain of this chat talking about geopolitics and the way the world's going to end. So if you have any questions about the episode to keep us from existential hell, feel free to ask. Who are some of your favorite villains?
Yes.
What are some trends in villainy that are very, very interesting to you? I am so glad it is back up. I think one of the most interesting villain types that is interesting for me is the villain that is just correct.
From a objective standpoint, or
well,
like,
no, we talked about Killmonger a lot, or at least like the villain that you understand and you're like, okay, I get why. Like, I understand why you've made this turn. Are they? I don't know enough about them. Is that a bad thing?
No, you'll see, but then you'll have to watch more than one episode, or else you can't get it.
Okay.
No, seriously, I love it so much. I'm trying to not be a downer to anyone, but like Vegas Pete, but see, but the thing is, I wouldn't have a problem with it if Vegas hadn't been a home wrecker before all of that. You know, I've talked about this for 7,000 years. No,
You have.
you know what villains I tend to really like though?
Yes. Tell
The
me.
completely insane ones, you know, the crazy
Hmm.
ones, where
Hmm.
there's like there is no rhyme or reason here. They're just insane and they're like cackling madly while murdering someone. I tend to be like, oh, I love this one. And I I don't know what that is. I just tend to really like psychopaths. Like, don't get me wrong, I also like a villain who is right.
Yes.
I very much, you know, and I like that whole evil is, you know, it depends on what side of things you're on, you know, like who is the terrorist is depending on what side you're on. But
I am fascinated how popular Danmei would be in Europe.
yeah, it's you know, that is such a weird thing that I've been going through because as the reigning possibly only BL author of original works in this country,
Hmm.
I have I have gone through this like because I'm old, you know, and I've seen this thing develop, and it's been like back in the early 2000s we were all, you know, oh my god, yaoi fangirls, you know, and then
Hmm.
everyone decided that, oh, yaoi is bad, remember when I liked that, oh my god, cringe, we don't like it anymore.
Hmm.
And then Damme happened, and
Hmm.
now everyone is into Damme, but they don't really care about other kinds of BL unless it's the Thai live action BL who they think which they think is BL. And it's all very confusing to someone who's been there for a long time, but it's like I just think it's interesting because a lot of them, and I see them at like cons and like events that I
Hmm.
work, that they care about Damme, but they don't want to expand into other BL territories. I think that's an interesting emotion.
Yeah, I think I would definitely love to explore on that a little bit more. Vegas is.
He's,
We'll
you know, the thing is, I think that you will probably like him. You maybe you'll even like his awful fashion sense. I read this fic, which was like where Portia's like the lighting at the minor family compound is terrible. Maybe this is why everyone in this family dresses like this
Hmm.
because they don't know what they look like. I'm like, this is the best. This is the best thing I've ever seen.
Hmm.
Uh, no, but in yeah, Japan does do a lot of novels still. It just
They
doesn't
do.
seem
They just don't.
like a lot of it gets translated.
Yeah, and the ones that do are like much older than people remember. It's like I remember having that a lot with like that like 2015 to 2017 where like I felt like everything was getting an adaptation, but these series were like 10 years old.
Yeah, the I think like the most recent BL novel that I own that came
Mhm.
out from Japan, which is actually like a new work, is Yes, No, Maybe. And I think the only
Mhm.
reason that was licensed was because it got that film,
Mhm.
and then they licensed the novel. But it seems like they don't, because there's a lot more light novels coming out of Japan getting translated now, but not a lot of them are BL. But there are a lot of BL novels in Japan. They're just not, no one's paying
Yeah.
attention to them apparently.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see that shift in fandom and like it is on our list to talk about next year is that sort of like western versus eastern when it comes to like what is men loving men romance, what is but I especially am very very interested in this almost like Donmei implosion where like yeah, I see a lot of what you see is that there's fans that really really love Donmei, but like they for whatever reason are convinced that they are more ideologically pure than Yaoi fans. Like Yaoi was a gross thing that we needed to grow up out of, and Donmei is this scholarly art,
And I'm over here screaming in the corner, it is all BL.
right? Like you can't
It's the
have one
same thing.
without the other. They're all part of the same pie. So I
Yeah.
would love, and this is also probably a great place to call in an expert, which is probably what we'll do,
Yeah, because we
because I don't understand it, is why that happened. Because I get why it happened. Um, I get why it happened between West and East. It is that ideological purity that we see, like with Heartstopper, where it's like, oh, those filthy cis women in Japan writing all this fetishistic pornography, and it's like, okay,
and
bitch.
then you have like there's this video essay that keeps popping up on my YouTube feed. I think if I
Mhm.
watch it, it
Just to be angry.
no, I think I because when I see the thumbnail, it makes me angry. But I think it's probably one of those good ones. It's just that I just don't want to engage with the subject matter at all because
Hmm.
it's like it is literally like pitting. I could be wrong, but based on like because it's like Heartstopper versus and then it's like Ty BL and I think there's like a picture. I think it's OnlyFans. It's called OnlyFriends. We call it OnlyFans and we finished the last episode yesterday and we just screamed through the whole thing.
Hmm.
OnlyFans support group, raise your hand. Anyway, but it's like you why are you pitting these things against each other? I think like this
Hmm.
is a video essay that is probably like going to talk about why these are different and why that is
Hmm.
okay. But it's like
Hmm.
these things can coexist. And guess
Hmm.
what? You can enjoy wholesome, sweet, innocent content while
Hmm.
also loving like completely fucked up BL that will destroy your soul.
Right.
It's
So
possible to like both.
So I think this is interesting. It's like I wonder if why Donme is big right now is the fantasy element. You don't see a lot of fantasy, but that's the thing. Fantasy BL was super popular. Americans didn't buy it, so Japan stopped making it. So like it's picking up a piece that started because of Western fandom. Western fans didn't like fantasy BL because there's a ton of fantasy BL,
And I think
especially like
now
early 2000s BL is all very fanciful.
And I think that there's an uptick again now, at least in what's getting licensed. Like there
Right.
because again, isekai is a big deal. So there's a lot of isekai,
Right.
including like, the Titan's Bride, for instance. Which is, you know, that is a thing. And again, like,
I know
thank
the
you.
video
I
you're
will
talking
I
about.
will watch
Yeah.
it then. If it is if that's the point, thank you for
Hmm.
pointing that out. No, yeah, the Titan's Bride, which I found very surprising when I watched the OVA episodes because
Hmm.
I was expecting it to be, you know, typically, oh no, very non-conny the way that BL tends to be when we get
It's
OVAs,
not.
right? And it's
Yeah.
not. It's one of the most consensual things I've ever seen, and it was actually quite sweet.
Right.
And I have yet to actually read the manga because again, I'm a hoarder and I like to read complete series. But I
Right.
really enjoy that. And then there's the Dragon's Betrothed,
Hmm.
and at least another kind of like fantasy esque. And we're getting there's also been a lot of like standalones coming out from Tokyo Pop that are based on Japanese mythology,
Hmm.
like the one with the demon cat, the Nekomata.
Hmm.
That one was really sweet. I really like that. So
It
so we
was.
do get more fantastical elements, but yeah, I
Right.
think you're right. I think it has to do with it
Market.
did yeah.
Yeah, like it dipped and then there was there was this sort of void. And I will say, like, the people that I know that do like Don May a lot, it's because it's a very, very particular kind of fantasy. And it is that Chinese high fantasy, which for a lot of people, like, that is very, very exotic. Like, especially, I will say this as a weeb, Japan at this stage, known, understood, I get it. I've read enough manga that I get Japan. I'm lying. You know what I mean? But like that is still a blind spot for a lot of people.
Mm.
So I can see why that's exotic and interesting. There's plenty of fantasy build. Crimson Spell.
Yeah, and you know, I was
I
thinking of Crimson Spell earlier today
I I am
because
always thinking of Crimson Spell.
because again, I hoard and when
Every
will it be
waking
complete
moment.
so I
Never.
can read it? But I was actually thinking about it because I was thinking of Viewfinder, because Viewfinder is one of those few series where
Mhm.
I have completely steered clear of the manga after
Mhm.
seeing the ovas, because and it's weird because we talk so much about how old school BL, and how there is so much non-con and dub-con and
Mhm.
excuses, and for some reason Viewfinder is the one that really squicked me. I was like, I hate this. I don't
Mhm.
like it, and I don't want to read the manga. And like, I've been thinking in recent years that maybe if I tried reading it, it wouldn't be so bad. But it's just, I've just, there's like a mental block. So when I was thinking of like BL villains, that guy in Viewfinder always comes back to me, because it's like, there's that kidnapping there,
Mhm.
there's the coercion, it's the rape, and then I'm like,
Mhm.
but this happens in so many other series where I'm
Right.
able to stomach it. But I think that was a fan thing, because I felt like it was
Mhm.
being so romanticized on Tumblr in particular that I just couldn't take it, and I just ended
Mhm.
up shutting down.
Well, no, it's not that Japan makes so few novels. It's we don't get them.
We don't
Japan
get them.
is doing what Japan's been doing for 50 years. It's we don't get them. And that's because of marketing choices that companies make that we as consumers make. It's not
Yeah.
that Japan is making novels. You can go, if you go to Comic Cat or something, like, you will get novels. Novels exist.
Like, if you go to Animate, there's like a
Yeah.
whole
There's novels
floor.
out the ass.
There's a whole floor dedicated to novels and light novels, and within that, there's a BL section. It's just that we're
Right.
not getting them.
We're
But
just
I
not
also,
getting them.
but I'm also wondering, and again, I wish I had more data
Mhm.
compare this with, because when because I do buy a lot of light novels, but again, I
Mhm.
do the same thing as I do with the manga, so I don't actually read them. So I don't know what the translations are like these days. But I remember, and again, I'm gonna bring up Gravitation, because the Gravitation light novels, I read those,
Mhm.
and I don't know if they are poorly written in general, or if it's the translations that are awkward, or if it's
Mhm.
like a mix, because light novels are, they're not highbrow literature. They're not, they are simplistic in writing. And I am someone who appreciate that in literature, because everything
Mhm.
doesn't have to be fucking Tolkien or whatever, right? It can be, it can be simplistic,
I would
easily
argue that Tolkien
eas-
isn't even that good.
I enjoy, like,
I'm teasing.
I'm not yeah, but
I'm teasing.
point
I think
but point is,
well,
he's a linguist.
yes.
There's like the whole academic, like, I think that simplistic literature and like easily accessible language.
We're so glad to have you
Oh,
back.
welcome back. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that, but the Gravitation novels read very strangely, but I don't know if that was a translation issue, or if it
So
was.
I think so. I have those Gravitation novels, and I've read them as well. Um, I think the thing with Gravitation, especially, is that Gravitation, I don't think works well as a manga to begin with, because the whole point is it's music, which is why I have such a soft spot for the anime. So one,
I
I
think
don't
it
think that,
works great as a manga.
huh?
I think
I'm
it works great as a manga. But yeah, no,
not,
I
I'm
think
not
it
going to
doesn't.
fight you on it.
I think I agree.
This
But
isn't
I
gonna
don't
be.
think it.
I don't think it works great as a manga to begin with. It definitely doesn't work as a novel.
Yeah, it
Like,
translates
so,
very strangely to a novel. Also,
yeah,
Murakami did not write it herself. It's
right. So, like, I think Gravitation, especially, and I think a lot of BL has this problem, is that they really are very simple stories. That's probably why Danmei feels so revolutionary, is that because they're so rooted in fantasy, they can do a lot of heavy lifting with not a lot of actual substance. It's hot air. It's sort of like it's like anytime someone writes, like, oh, Song of Achilles is a great example, where everyone and their mom was jerking off Song of Achilles. And it's like, yeah, I've read the Odyssey too. I never wanted it to be fanfic, but there's already so much there. My giant breasts. I'm not bound today, so
including your giant breasts.
I'm yeah, for reference, I'm not bound today. This is all breast. Um, but like Song of Achilles, there's already so much there because we have the Odyssey and everything like that, that it doesn't take a lot of, pumping to make it into something bigger. And I wonder if Dawn May kind of gets away with that a little bit, where it's like, we don't need to do a lot to make it look like it's grander or loftier than it is. And I'm not saying that it's bad. This is not an indictment. This is not me saying it's bad. This is not me saying it's lesser. I just wonder if that's kind of what is going on with it.
Yeah, and I also like Ren says in the comments that the live actions probably have a lot to do with it because
Live actions definitely.
because we do talk about this a lot that um people read less these days and that people don't have, especially younger people, don't have the patience to actually sit down and read, particularly novels, but even I think comics a lot of the time, or manga, because everything is like has to be quick, it has to be fast, it has to be TikTok, it has and visual stimuli. So I think that
No, I agree. And there's
then
some
hot
great
actors, which
and there's some great comments happening. I'm sorry that I missed them. But yeah, like there are so many things that I think are a factor into this that I would love to study more. And I definitely want to talk about this a little bit more because yeah, like I do think it's interesting that like yeah, that we've both seen that and we're on really, really separate sides of, the West. That now like Don May is considered this like scholarly, thing to be proud of while being a Yaoi fan is like, ew, how immature of you. How immature that you're still reading Yaoi.
But for I would light myself on fire while screaming BL and Yaoi is the same thing.
But I mean, I also think that like there has to be a reason why we're so quick to put ourselves into in versus out group. And I'm sure that there's fandom reasonings for that. I'm sure that, I know for me, one thing that I still deal with a little bit is people who are like, I can't believe you still read comics. I can't believe you still play video games. I can't believe that you still watch cartoons. There are people that yes.
You know what? I've started replying to those comments. I've started replying, I can't believe you are still judging what other people are doing with their free time. Like that is how I respond to this now.
I mean, I don't get it frequently because I look like this. So I don't get it very frequently, but like every once in a while, like extended family. I was in DC a few months ago with the extended family, and I had the summer Hikaru died with me. And I can't believe you still read comic books. I can't believe you are still with your wife that cheated on you. I can't believe you're still claiming that kid who obviously isn't yours. Like, but you do get that. Like that is still a social thing. Like especially, for people of color, for women, especially, I'm a woman in her 30s. The fact that I'm single and unmarried and I'm still playing Pokemon and reading backwards comics about fictional boys kissing, I should be lobotomized. I should be,
I don't know. Sounds to me like you're the one living the best life here.
I mean, I am. Yeah. But yeah, I wonder if like, oh, it's in a novel, ergo it's better. Okay. Anyways, back to villains.
I was just thinking, are Reo and Mabu villains?
Yes.
No.
They murdered a child.
I can't. Oh yeah. I'm sorry, I only remember the gay. I was like, because
yes.
No, of
they
course.
Murdered Enta. Yeah. Or at least Reo did.
Kind of. I mean, he didn't die.
Okay.
Permanently.
Okay. I mean, really the villain is Toy's brother.
Well, he's a villain too. It's different. And he's doing his best. You know who the real
drugs?
Do you know who the real villains in that story is? No.
Waters?
It's Toy and Chica's parents who named them Toy and Chica. Toy far away, Chica close. What the frick? These are your children. They're not bad puns.
I was waiting for you to actually say something.
You You don't think that that's? I think that that is
No, you dumb whore.
like when his name, when like Toy, that was fine. I was like, okay, his name is Toy, and then his brother appeared, and I was like, are they kidding me right now? His name is Chica,
Yes.
and then I just friggin' lost it. Terrible parenting. Terrible parenting.
I mean, I guess the villain is Kepi.
Yeah, because that is
Making children do his dirty work.
yeah, and like that is a thing. Like, are there even any proper good guys in Sarasamai? Because the cops are bad, but
no, just the two cops that are
but
so really
just
the villains are the otters.
Yeah, the otters, but then Reo and Mabu, there's
so
that
Reo
thing.
and Mabu, I guess, then are antagonists.
Yeah, and then Kepi,
because they get redeemed because they were also Kappas.
Yeah, but then Kepi, and by extensions the boys, who are also Kappa are, they're yokai, so they are by default not, nice.
Listen. Everyone in Sarazan Maya is a villain, and we just need to deal with it.
I love that for them.
It's a great series. I love that. But like, yeah, I mean, I guess like the villains are the otters. Kepi.
I love you, Kepi.
Or even like, you know what series I started thinking about was Cute High Earth Defense Club Love?
Oh yeah.
Which I don't talk about enough, but I love Cute High Earth Defense Club Love. Don't ask me about the second season.
No, I haven't seen. I've only seen the first season.
And
that wombat, I have a lot of questions.
It's okay. Hedgehog is literally Germany's voice actor, and that was the weirdest thing. It's like, what are you doing here?
I think for me, one of the funniest things from like, at least in this conversation, is the fact that, Kepi is voiced by Junichi Suwabe, who is also Victor. And, Victor and Kepi, they're essentially the same person.
They really are.
Fucking sending me when Kepi starts doing the pole dancing in the background. I'm like,
this that because you're right. Like they are the same character.
And then of course Toei and Yurio are also the same character, voiced by the same person. Which I do love that.
Those are not the same character.
They are absolutely the same.
Not correct.
If Yurio didn't have figure skating, he would stab someone. Like that child would be a criminal.
That's he would be a Russian murderer. You are correct. But yeah,
I love him.
But like I started thinking about Cute High Earth Defense Club Love, and like this is one of the places where I feel like BL's Sojo roots are actually good, because Cute High Earth Defense Club Love ends up not really having a villain, because you get to the Conquest Club and really it's just guys that are very lonely. It's
that sounds like a shonen though. That sounds like it's like a Naruto moment.
Well, it is. But like you get the whole issue is that like this new guy rocks up to one of the main guys and it's like, oh, you took my best friend from me. Let's see. You are coming through. I can promise you that.
Yeah, I don't know if they're all coming through, but we're seeing a lot at least on the side.
Yeah. Here. But like that was something that I found was super, super interesting, was that it's like that didn't end up really having a villain. It had like Scooby-Doo like villain of the week, but again, it was always like problem solving. It was, oh, this was a person going through something and it only took this little bit to corrupt their heart. And like that's one of the places where I feel like very, very rarely Yaoi and BL do benefit from having Sojo bases. And that's one of those weird places where I actually quite like the lack of a villain or the lack of a strong villain, because it becomes about something that is much more deeper, which is interpersonal issues. Like there's a reason, like I Miss You, No 3 Meters, sobs every single time. I love that Indian theme song because that's losing a friend. That's exactly what it means to have someone who you were so close to and then to suddenly feel like you don't have them anymore because one thing changed. Or even like more abstract villains like Hitori Jimi My Hero series we talk about all the time, where really the villain outside of bad, horrible parenting horrible bad parenting really is just society. It's societal
Yeah.
expectation. It's understanding that, yeah, a relationship between a teacher and a student, regardless of how consensual it is, regardless of how grounded it is, regardless of how relatively healthy it is, isn't okay. And like that sneaking around has to be done. So I feel like there's places where BL takes those roots and does it really, really well. Because when I do think about the series that do have characters that I feel like would be objectively villainous, they're usually the main character, and that's upsetting. So, like, series I talk about all the time, Maiden Rose. Klaus von Wolfstadt is a villain. He's awful. He's terrible. Like, he's
But
literally the worst.
isn't he a Nazi?
No.
Exactly. Yeah. No.
Well, so it's not Europe, nor is it Asia. It's Eurote, and they refer to him as being a Saxon, which Saxony is a French part of Bavaria. And his name is Klaus von Wolfstadt.
Yeah.
So he's not German, but German. Um, he does a lot of non-con. He is horribly addicted to amphetamines. He is so addicted to amphetamines. Um, he's a bad guy. But then they do the weird duplicitous thing where you figure out that, oh, during their time in school, that is conveniently very, very similarly named to a concentration camp. Thing that we're not going to talk about. Yeah. Their military school, which is very, very similarly named to a concentration camp, that Taki really leads Klaus on. And Klaus gives up everything to be with Taki, only for Taki really to blue ball him the minute they land in his not China soil. So while it doesn't make any of the non-con violence or amphetamine use okay, you start to see how it goes. This
Yeah.
is going to be so fun for you to go through fully because it's insane.
I really wonder how this episode is going to save, though. Hopefully, it will be fine.
Yeah, I haven't seen any issues
Yeah, because
on
there's no
my
issues
end.
on our end. You
And
lagged a little bit for like 5 seconds, but that was
yeah,
probably just for me.
and on YouTube it seems fine, like from what I can see. So I'm
Hopefully.
not entirely sure what's up with it. So we shall see, to be
Yeah.
determined.
But also because when you talk about the shoujo
Mhm.
roots and also the villain or the person who would be
Mhm.
villainous is the
Mhm.
main character. And I mean,
Mhm.
some of the elements that we see a lot in both BL and shoujo are, the whole, because there is so much coercion and dubcon and,
Mhm.
people, unhealthy relationship dynamics being passed off as romantic. We see this in shoujo all the time. We see this in BL, there's manipulation and coercion and guilt tripping and all of those things. And we see this also in shoujo. Um and then,
Mhm.
when you have characters and because the kind of things we're into. Like a lot of these characters are yakuza, right?
Yeah.
Yakuza are not great people. Like if you
No.
ask a person on the street, to the average person, a yakuza boss is a bad person. Like they kill people,
Right.
they extort
Right.
people, and so, but we are being fed these stories where, yeah, he's a terrible man who kills people on the job, but then he goes home to his man, and it's like,
Well, but I think like that's so interesting to compare something like Honto Yaju to something like Twittering Birds Never Fly, where you are never meant to look at Yashiro and be like, upstanding citizen, good man. You are never meant to look at Yashiro and be like, that is someone who is supporting the local economy. Like, but then you get something like Honto Yaju, which is on the complete different scale, even though they have very, very similar premises of cop X Yakuza.
Mhm.
Which I don't like that they are
You
just the
don't?
same. They're the same thing on opposite ends of the scale. I used to love Hontoyaju. I don't know why it was still ongoing for so long. That is
I
a series that could have wrapped up so long ago.
haven't read Hontoyaju in so long because when they started licensing it, so I stopped reading and then I started hoarding.
Yes.
Yeah. No, but also like Ren pointed out, I have to think before I say it. Only friends, not only fans. And yeah, exactly. Because when I went into this series, like I watched the trailer, and it's like
Mhm.
just from the trailer, you get the idea that this is going to be a complete mess. Like everyone's just fucking everyone, backstabbing
Mhm.
everyone. You
Mhm.
know that this is going to be a mess, and yet I've spent the past 12 Saturdays screaming my head off in frustration about how some of
Mhm.
these characters are acting, even though I knew it was going to be like this. Like you aren't supposed to agree with everything that these characters are doing. Like they're not morally correct all the time, but they're also not terrible people, except Boston, maybe a little bit. And yeah, no, yeah, I have issues. But yeah, it's a very good example
Mhm.
of these kind of like gray zone type characters and
Right.
character dynamics.
Well, and I think what's interesting, especially, and we made an analogy to Passengers, is that if you flipped this around at any point in time, how many of these leading men are villains if you are on the receiving end of their brand of love?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where the Sojo route fails, is when, like, we talk about this, I feel like every episode now, but it's still in the back of my head. Something like Katakyo, Private Tutor, where if you flip this to just Rentaro Vision, which I imagine looks like an episode of Blue's Clues, and it's all just like crayon drawings because he's an idiot. You know, Kaede, while very handsome, is awful.
I genuinely cannot remember him being awful, but I also arguably have not read this manga in a very long time.
I mean, he's awful, like, and like as a boyfriend. Like, is he like a bad person, like by our standards of a bad person? No. But like, he's a bad boyfriend. He does the whole stupid contrived, oh, I saw you shopping with one of my friends, ergo I'm gonna do a sexual violence against you because I think you're
Mm.
cheating. Like, he's a bad boyfriend. But because he's the other half of the main pairing, we're supposed to just write that off and be like, oh, okay, he did a sexual violence. He did a sexual violence. Okay, I guess it's fine.
Yeah.
And not wanting to hold certain characters to task because they're main characters. And that is something, that's where I feel like the Sojo routing begins to fail, because so I'll bring it to our roots, which are Gravitation. I'm not anti Yuki and Suichi because I think Suichi is a bad person. I'm anti.
Shit. Okay.
I'm gonna land this plane. I'm anti Yuki and Suichi because I think Yuki is irreparably damaged, and I don't think that that's fair to Shindo. I don't think it's fair that he has to consistently dim himself to stand under someone who is so dark as Eri. Eri is almost like this corrupt fallen angel, where to me Shindo is too much of a cinnamon roll and he belongs with someone who's more normal and can give him what he needs. I am very pro Suichi Hiro for that reason.
But I think again, I've done several panels on this.
Yes.
I
So BL does it occasionally, but it ends up being really, really problematic and weird.
just because what is that Yoshinaga manga with, is it Gerard, Jacques and Gerard? What is it called?
Yes.
Yes, because I recently read that because I've been on a thrifting spree and buying all the old Yoshinagas. That is that
Mhm.
exact thing.
Yeah,
Except
because
he's a servant,
Yes.
but also it's kind of raised.
So you're thinking of Lovers in the Night.
Yeah,
Gerard
Lovers
and
in the Night.
Jacques
Yeah.
is the prequel, which is how the butler got sexy, which was by some like random guy.
Yeah, because I haven't read that yet because I just got volume 2 because there are
Yeah.
two, right?
So
Yeah.
Gerard and Jacques is great. It's basically the dude who taught the butler how to be sexy.
Oh
But you're
yeah, yeah,
thinking
yeah.
of Lovers in the
Yeah,
Night.
Lovers in the Night.
Yeah, and that's very much it's a young slutty twink. And
How I love that. Yes. But yeah. But
am
that
I
is like,
wrong?
no, like, but I'm one of these, and this has nothing to do with problematic age gaps. I think this is possibly me being a bit ageist. Like, I've never been into like the daddy characters and like the father figures. Like, that's just not my jam.
Mhm.
But I like the twinks. I don't like the, like, if they are like an older love interest who still looks young, I'm fine. But like, if you can tell, if there's a visible, I'm like, I guess I'm just not attracted to, Osam characters. But
Yeah,
except the the Don't Call Me Daddy, Don't Call Me Dirty series, because the two old men in Don't Call Me Daddy,
Mhm.
they're adorable and I love them. They are absolutely adorable.
Or even like Papa's Assassin Ryanosuke comes to mind of like there's a lot of you see it more in the Bara end. So
Hmm.
Sojo doesn't necessarily do that because especially a lot of the Sojo main yaoi characters are just written as women with dicks.
Yeah, but it's like, because it's like how Bishonen is essentially
Yeah.
its own job, like not even its own gender, but it's like its own species almost,
Yeah,
like because
they're
they're not
cat.
meant, yeah,
They're
so
cat.
they're not that type, and I think that
Mhm.
it does depend on what your personal brand of aesthetic is. Like, I don't like burly muscular, I like twinks, so so I don't have a lot of,
Words I'm gonna put on Corolla's headstone when she dies.
yes. I'm gonna need a very big head, but it's okay because I'm getting a pyramid. I've said this. I'm being buried in a pyramid with
You
everything I
have
own.
pyramid money?
No, I have friends who are gonna build it for me.
Okay, that's
They
literally
know.
what happened in ancient Egypt. That's called slavery. No, hold on.
No,
What do you
it's
mean?
friendship. They
You
are
have a
aware of this,
GoFundMe for your death pyramid.
and they're gonna build it from the inside so that they will be buried with me,
No,
so that I will
Carl,
take them with
no,
me in the
hold on.
afterlife.
No, this isn't Yu-Gi-Oh! You are not a pharaoh. We're not doing shit. I'm not building a pyramid for you.
No one said you had to help. You
Because
have
I'm
the
not.
privilege of being on a different continent, so
Yeah.
you can be excused. But
Oh,
the
thank
people,
God. I'm excused from service. Thank God.
but my friends who live here, who are close to me physically, well, they don't have a choice. They're coming with me.
There is a wonderful anti-colonialist joy bubbling up inside me that for once the brown person is excused from service.
Oh yeah. Also, I mean, technically, maybe I should just excuse you altogether. Like,
Thank you.
I don't think that would be
Yeah,
right.
the one brown person in Norway has been sent to the mine.
I don't think that would look very good.
That's not a good look for you.
No, but
Bloomer
you
morning.
can oversee the labor. I trust you too.
That feels so problematic, and I'm here for it. But yeah, like there's a lot of series that do have that. I think it's because I mean, Lies or a Gentleman's Manners has that where it's literally fucking a dad because of daddy issues.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's interesting because and then you get to a series like Lies or a Gentleman's Manners. The villain is Dr. Haskins, who's sleeping with one of his students, fucked a dude as his engagement party in view of both of their fiancés.
What a great man.
I love him.
Of course. But another character that is kind of interchangeable with the father figure, we talked a little bit about this before, the creepy nurse slash doctor that is always in, like in
I have a
Superstore.
name.
Or yeah,
I have a
but like
name.
if it's not a dad figure, it's like some doctor, like a professor, and he's like working in the school infirmary or something and having these nefarious relationships with the students.
I
Like,
have a name.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to call you out like this, but
But yeah, like it's true. Like but because these are usually characters that you're supposed to be relating with, like their crimes just sort of like get waved away by like a magical yaoi wand, that it's like, oh, don't worry about it. Also, there was a guy on TikTok, he makes like kink accessories, and he was going to like an adult themed party. And he's like, for those of you who are going to get it, get it. And for those of you that don't, don't. And he comes out and he's in this white suit with a blue shirt. And then he produces a cord. And I'm like, you bitch.
What?
He's a magic wand. He's a Tachin wand. The sex toy, the big one that you have to plug into the fucking wall.
It's hard.
A lawnmower.
It's hard to imagine, like, when you say it now, it makes sense. But I don't have the visual in my head, so it didn't connect.
Well, it was so funny because like it didn't click until he produced the cord, and I was like, "You motherfucker! You're a fucking
magic
genius."
wand."
Yeah, because like the big ones that you had to like plug into the fucking wall, because they have the same revs per minute as a sitting mower.
Like, they just seem incredibly inconvenient. But you know, they're still in sales, clearly.
I just revealed too much of my old.
No, it's fine.
They're great with a partner, I'll say that. They're not I don't like them solo. I like them affixed to devices and with a partner.
I think they are still extremely popular in Japan. They figure in a lot of porn.
Yeah, like there are so many wands that don't charge like that, but that's like the one that everyone imagines when it comes to hentai, which I think is hilarious because as someone who owns multiple wands, many of them are much more subtle and don't have to plug into the fucking wall directly for use. You charge it and you have like an 8-hour battery life.
So inconvenient.
I mean, but those things do rev like a fucking leaf blower.
So actually what you're saying is that whenever we record an episode and your neighbor is out there with a leaf blower,
if I actually discovered it was just that, I would stop complaining immediately.
Like, good for them.
I'd be like, good for you. If that's what was making that noise, I would actually be like, yeah, go slay. Yeah, awesome.
I mean, I'm more partial to sex toys than leaf blowers, I'll say that.
Do y'all consider monster fucking to be adjacent to villain fucking, like Pyramid Head? Yes and no. Because sometimes the monster is just a stand-in for the other, and especially a lot of times, monster fuckers really just want to fuck a brown person.
You know what came to mind? Like, when you started that, my brain instantly went to that whole "can Bigfoot consent?" question.
You can't.
Because it depends. Is the monster like a sentient being that is aware of what it's doing? Like, is it because if it's like, going back to the Patreon episode and my Freddy Krueger fantasies, if you missed that one, like, Freddy Krueger arguably is a monster, right?
Yes.
I mean, he's a villain, but he's he kind of fits
both
he's
categories. Monstrous. I don't know if I'd call him a monster. He's monstrous.
Yeah, he's monstrous. But he kind of checks both categories. But sure. Is Pyramid Head
a monster?
Evil,
he's just a guy.
He's
just a guy. He's just a big guy.
You know, Pyramid Head and those nurses have no business being that hot. I'm just saying. Like, what the hell?
Okay, I'm dressed as a literal gay girl boss, and I'm scandalized by what you just said. I've never wanted to fuck Pyramid Head. He has always scared me. I've been afraid of him. But like,
I also think he's terrifying. But like, he's got a nice body, you know.
Well, like, so I think it's the question is the monster villainous? Because oftentimes, the monster isn't villainous. There was a literal whole old man yaoi about that the monster isn't the monster, it's the dude.
Let's start analyzing Frankenstein. No, but it's like, you know what comes to mind? Because
yes.
Yes. Griffith, Berserk Griffith, because he's awful.
Yeah.
And then at the end, of the original series, he
Yes.
does turn into an actual monster.
Yes.
I hate him, and
Okay.
but he's very pretty. I wanted to put him on my list because you know the main reason.
They are
Yeah,
great.
we're seeing your comments. I'm glad you're also very grateful that you've waited 30 hours to see us. Like
Monster
that's
and Beast is, no, that was not me saying it's bad. It's great. I love it. But like, yeah, it's but yeah, so Griffith does become a monster at the end.
yeah. And I started watching Berserk because you can only see that clip with him naked with no penis so many times before you get so curious that you have to watch the entire show.
Is that how that works?
That was how it worked for me.
Okay.
And I was like, you know, he's very pretty, but he's also not a great guy. And then, you know, like that end arc happened, and I was like, oh, this is awful on so many levels.
But like, so like Rio, Devilman Crybaby comes to mind.
Yeah, I'm surprised we actually haven't mentioned him yet.
Because he's Satan.
Yeah, which is why I thought he'd be on at least one of our lists.
I can't stop thinking of the fact that the icon for podcast looks like a wand. It certainly does. It does. It really does.
Why do you think
For,
we chose this format? I say as if I was part of the.
you didn't make Apple's podcast.
Yes. God damn it! You found me out. It was me.
That was you.
Yeah.
I mean that would make sense. But yeah, it does look like a vibrating wand. But like, we didn't talk about him because he's fucking Satan. Like, what do you mean? And like, also again, like, I mean, I'm not advocating anything that he did, even though he is my son and my precious meow meow.
You know, I would actually buy into the theory that Rio is somehow Segachi Thomas' unborn child.
That is my child, and I love him. That's his mother. Like, he really was just lonely, and there is this like almost like pre-Raphaelite Satanist camp, like capital S Satanist camp, because during like the art movement of the pre-Raphaelites, a lot of them were considered Satanists, as were romantic, capital R romantic writers, because many of them viewed Lucifer, Satan, being this revolutionary figure, this person who was bucking against tradition. You know, God was this old stuffy fuddy-duddy, and Satan had all the cool hip ideas.
And the sports car in the desert.
But there is this almost like tragedy to imagining someone like Rio, who, how much of this is deterministic, and you see that play out really, really well in Crybaby, especially, is how much of this is him that he will always be this because of who he is, and how much of this is, oh, he's just a fucked up evil guy. But like, how much of that is his conscious effort? He was always meant to bring about Armageddon. I mean, it's the literal plot of Good Omens.
Yeah.
Is how much of this is deterministically what would always be his fate, and the most agency he has is the radical choice to love someone like Akira. And how much of this is he is the master of all things, he knows what he's doing, he fully consents and understands what he's doing, and therefore he is evil, bad, and should be damned. But then you get to the end, especially in Crybaby, that's really, really heavily influenced by the manga, where it's just sad. But also Satan is universally, he is.
I mean, true.
It also
True.
seems that any comment with emojis only shows the emoji. That's weird. I haven't seen that issue, but I heard that's happening. But yeah, so like how much of that is something that he can control and that he has power over, and how much of that is, you know, this deterministic. You know, there's a reason why I'm going to turn into a preacher for a little bit. I'm not dressed as Wolfwood, but you know. That's one of the reasons why, like, the Gospel of Judas being non-canonical is so important, is that it says without someone like Judas betraying Jesus, there would have been no crucifixion, ergo there would be no salvation. That you needed this catalyst, that Judas was only doing what he needed to do. He's playing the part, and what a terrible burden it must be to be the one that betrays your friend for the sake of the salvation of everyone. Can you tell that I was raised in a Catholic household?
No, not at all. No.
As I sip my gay iced coffee and talk about religion. But yeah, like that's something that's interesting to me with Rio, especially, is how much agency does he have? Because like in the manga, depending on which manga you read, he's usually just like a very, very weird, possessive, like weird kid. Just a spindly nerd, which I love. And then Crybaby makes him into like a mafia boss, but there's that early bargaining of, oh, I don't like what I am. And this is always going to happen. This will always be, he is inevitable. And how lonely that must be. That ending
Mm.
to this day is one of the most heart-wrenching things that I can think of. How awful is it to finally get what you want and then to be alone at the precipice as the whole world burns? It's just tragic.
Yeah, no, it's so sad.
Next year's costume.
What, you want to be Rio?
I mean, I don't think I'd make a very good Akira. I'd enjoy having weird demon powers way too much.
You want me to be sexy Akira or innocent Meow Meow Akira?
I feel like you'd be a great innocent Meow Meow Akira. I don't think you make a good guy who's watching porn in the middle of the AV room, which was just
Even though
which
tried-
was.
I tried declaring my innocence, like my general innocence, to a friend yesterday, and he was like, "You literally write porn for a living."
Yeah,
And
what I did to Jason Todd's fictional asshole means that I am not barred into heaven. I am barred from heaven. I am not. I am not getting in.
despite your very hard efforts as a former recovered Catholic,
I mean, I can still marry people. I can bless water, and I can baptize, and I know the prayers
Wow.
for last rites. So if you ever need to get married, I can legally marry and bury you.
I think it's more likely that I'll need to get buried.
Yeah, I still know how to make holy water. I can still baptize in the
See,
event of an emergency.
that's neat though. Being able to make your own holy water. Like if you're ever in like a horror movie scenario, which you wouldn't be, because
I'm too
you know
black for that.
you're a sane fucking person,
Correct.
not aka not white.
Correct. Correct.
Unless of course you end up in is it Jordan Peele horror
Yes.
movie?
Yes. Where
Which,
he loves terrorizing black people, but they all have like realistic like reactions. Like, oh hell no.
yeah, like that one guy, the cop guy in Get Out.
Yes, literally.
That man,
Oh hell no. Yeah, literally. Me. Like
hero, an actual hero.
so as a lapsed Catholic, I can still make holy water. I still know the prayer to baptize and give last rites. I can legally marry people because I'm a minister in the Unitarian Church, which I did to cosplay Wolfwood. So I can legally marry people.
You're insane.
So I can legally marry people. And holy water, baptisms, last rites. And I still know most of the rosary in Latin, which I guess makes it easy for me to survive most vampire attacks. So, you know, you're resident Catholic here.
A resident. Wait, is Wolfwood Catholic?
The manga says yes. Stampede doesn't take a stance at all and says that he's an undertaker, which is a word that morticians don't use. Also, he's 14. He doesn't have a job. Yes.
No. No.
For those of you who wonder what I was doing, this is the T-pen, and I had to clear something out of my microphone. So I wasn't just doing witchcraft. I wasn't just making off-screen fire again. What girls?
like in the Patreon episode when there's suddenly just like a burst of flame at the bottom of the screen because you're just like lighting
because
things
I'm
on
high key a
fire.
pyro.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, so I think it's interesting that this conversation has gone from so many different things. And really, the true villain is, of course, governments and geopolitics.
Yes.
That's the true villain.
But
Um,
also even within the like the universe of the manga or the series or whatever, because
mhm,
so much of what is problematic, like why a character is problematic, is often rooted in the society that that character lives in and is
absolutely.
created within. Like
Absolutely. And,
the internalized homophobia in so much BL, which comes from the
right.
society that that manga is created within.
And I think so much of the weak storytelling that we usually are railing against is from not tapping into that. Like, yeah, not every series needs an objective villain. There's plenty that you can use societally, socially, economically as antagonizing or villainous forces. But oftentimes, because of the limited scope of a lot of BL, none of that is really done in a way that makes a lot of sense. Because BL, especially, tends to be very, very intimate. So anyone who isn't the main pairing ends up being a villain or an antagonist, even though they're usually not. Like any outside force is threatening to, which is why I think the instances where we get someone who is truly antagonistic or villainous in BL, it stands out so much. I mean, character that I would have loved to cosplay, Taki Aizawa comes to mind, where you get someone who is demonstrably terrible in a series with relatively low stakes. Like his reaction is wildly out of pocket.
It is like, yeah.
His
Who
reaction his
does that?
reaction is so out of left field for a series with such low stakes that it's like, oh, we're gonna do a sexual violence.
Taki Aizawa, you bastard.
Yeah, Yadi-chan.
Yari-chin. I
Yeah.
just read volume 5 finally. I cannot believe Yari-chin is 10 years old. What is happening there? And like Sensei can't believe it herself. She wrote in the afterwards in volume 5 that wow, this manga is 10 years old and I've still only written 5 volumes. Like it's been going on forever. I enjoy it greatly, but it does have, I'm just here for the ride at this point. It's insane. I
Yeah,
love it.
like I was thinking about that with Aizawa because I love him so much. Uh,
As today's resident, very innocent schoolgirl Shuichi, I take great offense to this statement. Come on, you should. Why didn't you say
Character I love very much. My favorite boy. Uh, his reaction is so out of left field and just not okay. I mean, he definitely gets it in the end, but like,
Yeah. No, but
also Toma openly admitting like this is my favorite child is 100% something that has happened.
yeah, I do have some issues with those two. But yeah.
They fucked, and we all know it.
Oh, certainly.
I'm not saying it was loving, gentle, or kind.
No, I assure you it was not.
It was
Oh
not
my,
loving, kind, or gentle, but they have laid together.
definitely. That's how Aizawa got the job, I think.
He has talent.
Have we even heard Ask's music? Does
No,
it exist? No.
no,
We
we've
don't know
never heard Ask.
anything about Ask's music.
We don't. We don't know a single thing about Ask's music, and we never will. Um, Or even a character that should be a villain in Gravitation, which is Yuki Kitazawa, that we never see as a villain because Eri still wants to fuck him.
I see him as it's complicated. Yes, Yarichin is super fun.
It is fun.
I really enjoy it. I don't think it can be taken seriously on any level.
No.
But it is so much fun. I take Yuri and Jimmy very seriously because did you see my lamp?
Yes, I saw your lamp.
My Yuri lamp. Go
I
if
saw
if
your
you
lamp.
haven't seen it, go to my Instagram and see my Yuri lamp. I'm very happy with it.
He's so happy with it.
He has he has so many colors. He blinks in all these colors. It's amazing. It doesn't show up well on camera at all, but it's
Oh
an
my
amazing lamp.
goodness.
I'm allowed to be excited about my lamp.
You are. I'm not mad at you. I'm not angry with you.
Yes,
Yeah,
you are.
like
You're just
this is not
silently judging me.
this is not the reason. Like Kitazawa should be the worst guy ever, but because Eri still has a shrine to him in his closet.
I refuse. I disagree. No, but I just remembered. I just saw the Utsukushi Kare movie, the live action BL. Is a Japanese BL. It's amazing and I love it. But there is an actual scene where Kyoi, who is an actor, who is dating his biggest fan, they've been like on and off since high school, like whatever. He finds out that his boyfriend has an actual shrine to him in a closet, and it's the funniest fucking scene because he opens the closet door and then he screams, and then Hira comes running, sees that Kyoi has seen his shrine. He also screams, and then he slams the door shut, and I love it. I love them so much. It's amazing. Kyoi was also arguably a terrible person in high school, but that's
I mean, so was I. I was a good person in high school.
I think I was quite nice. I'm a terrible person now.
I mean, I'm worse now. So, look at me. I'm worse now.
Yeah, you just evolved into Toma.
This is going to be even better when I take all of this off and I do my skincare routine, which Corolla has learned about.
Yeah, but you still haven't actually showed it to me, and you need to teach me.
Oh, sure. I mean,
15-step skincare routine. Let's go.
You've also seen my abnormally pink bedroom.
I love your pink bedroom.
Which isn't a euphemism. It literally is just abnormally pink.
Yep.
That is not a euphemism this time. It is literally just abnormally pink. But like, yeah, you can see the framing in a character like Kitazawa where he should be the worst. He's a literal child molester. Like that's a villain's villain.
And again, the gang raping, like getting someone else not only sexually assaulted but by multiple people at the same time, and they're also a child who trusted you and loved you. That is, he is terrible.
But because we only know about him from Eri's perspective, really, which is greatly colored by all the Stockholm Syndrome and non-con, that Kitazawa is only a monster when he sells Eri. That he's only monstrous when that special connection is not one shared only between them. That's when he decides to put him down like Old Yeller. Not during all the other times when he's been bad touched.
But he was young and innocent and impressionable, and he thought he loved him.
Yeah, I'm not victim blaming Eri saying you should have shot him sooner. Like I'm not.
No, and like I am absolutely not defending Kitazawa because all know where I stand on that, and I say that with my whole chest, just as Shuichi. Listen, Shu. That man is married to someone else.
I mean, he's dead.
No, I'm talking about Yuki. I'm talking about Eri. Right now. Who has moved on?
Not a threat. Dead.
Married. I take this very seriously.
I mean, unless we have to consider the time magic distortion child, which means he might not be dead.
It could be a ghost.
Riku Kitazawa's a ghost.
No.
Oh, Kitazawa's ghost is a fuck
Kitazawa's
ghost. He can still he can still
No.
do sex crimes. Do you feel comfortable putting that in the universe?
No, I do not. That wasn't what I meant.
Please.
I don't know what I meant. Leave me alone.
Yes, please tell me, because your current implication is that Yuki Kitazawa is a sex ghost, and somehow that's worse.
I think we need to have a conversation about this, because I actually do have a ghost BL coming up in my projects, and I need to talk to someone about fuck ghosts, because I have a lot of questions.
I'm happy to talk about fuck ghosts. I'm an expert. Hello, handsome boy.
We have been joined.
He hasn't been screaming at you this episode.
No, because I fed him, and then he went out and came back in before we started recording. So he's been relatively calm.
He's been out in his bush.
The bush has died. The bush has frozen to death. So there's only twigs left now.
This
say
has
hello
been...
to the people?
Hello. He's like, I don't want to be here.
He wants to be here. It just,
But no, I genuinely can't think of a better way to spend my Halloween weekend other than being dressed up as my favorite characters, one of my favorite people. Tormenting the world with bad takes. But yeah, I think in between all of the conversations about geopolitics and Danmei, I think we've had some really, really interesting conversations about villainy and evil, and I definitely do want to have an episode sometime in the next year where we do talk just about BL, especially with its shoujo roots, and where that is a limitation and where it is not a limitation, because I do think in some places it does provide some of the best parts of the genre, and then in other places it is horribly limiting and it is everything wrong with BL. And sometimes those cases are emblematic in the same series. I feel like most ghosts in BL are semi for some reason.
I have a lot of questions. I mean,
aren't semis, except for the one in Eerie Query.
The one ghost twink. No, I think mine is a ghost twink.
Well, then you have a great reference.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm not gonna say it.
You have a great reference.
I have to reread Eerie Query.
I mean, we have to for the new year as well.
But this project is like I think it would work a lot better as like a yonkoma, like a 4-panel comic, but I can't draw, so if there are any artists out there, help me. No. I'm very excited. I just don't know where to start, and I would love to talk about ghosts.
Yeah, let's talk about ghosts when we're done with this. I have to go publish this Nightwing and Red Hood fic that I've been sitting on, because I stopped trying to write Plantcest out of... No, it wasn't a Plantcest. It was Vash and Wolfwood. I stopped writing Trigun Impreg out of spite, because there was this one fic I started reading, and it just went in a direction that made me so violently angry that I started writing out of spite, and then I just burned myself out, because I was just fueled by spite. And then I burned myself out completely.
I think it's very funny how many of my writer friends are literally just running on spite. Like, that is their main source of inspiration.
Yeah, that's all we have is spite. Like, I read a fic, I didn't like the direction it went in, and I'm like, I can do this but better. And then I did for like several thousand words, and then I'm like, I'm tired.
We need to do, we need to do like another like writing episode again at some point, because now I feel like I have a lot of thoughts, especially on fanfic, because when we did the fanfic episode, I was getting back into it, but now I have so many thoughts and questions and frustrations. Yes.
I was very surprised for the European side of side you were saying that there is a difference between Danmei fans and general BL, not in my experience. That's interesting because yeah, like I mean, we're by no means saying that the way that we see things is universal.
I'm just talking like in my community, like in Norway. Maybe it's just like it could be just in my town, even. But like
Yeah,
the experience I have doing events and like talks and things here, my experience is that they seem to separate BL and Damme, and I think it's very interesting. But yeah, it's it varies from place to place, and even like
yeah, and like that experience.
How do you go to 23 cons a year? How?
Listening to that.
How? Teach me your secret, because I can't even.
Yeah, Corolla does one con and hates it and makes it everyone's problem for 3 months.
No, that's because I am an organizer and a board member. That's different, and I love it. I love it.
Corolla does literally one con. I want to go to YCon.
I want to go to YCon. I don't want to go to France, but I really want to go to YCon.
So you want to go not where the con is.
Can I go? Hello, YCon, can we be digital guests? Is that possible?
I'd love that.
I don't want to go to France. Like, I would die.
I would also die.
I had French for 3 years in school. I can't speak at all. I can say my potted plant is dead.
I grew up with my uncles from the Ivory Coast, so I grew up with a French speaker in the house, and I swore in French exactly one time because I'm a France role player. And he looked at me and he was just like so ashamed and like, you learned this from me. And it's like, I learned this from being Francis Bonnefoy. I learned this from French techno and being a Francis Bonnefoy cosplayer and role player. This is not your fault. There are many other things that are your fault. This is not your fault.
No, I don't. It's just question. Is YCon all in French?
There are some English guests, I do believe.
Yeah, because I think. I mean, I'm not the one to talk like most Norwegian cons are like in.
I do like 1 or 2 cons a year, and
I do one. I did 2 physical cons this year, and I organized one of them, and I went to another one. But I try to do virtual cons.
Girl, how dare you once more influence my smut Twitter? Because there is propaganda of Shigaraki topping Dobby on my smut Twitter.
Will you maybe send it my way?
No, I do not support.
I don't get anything.
I don't support this propaganda. This is false and licentious. There is no way on God's green earth.
I got a notification.
Yeah, I sent it to you.
Thank you.
There is no way on God's green earth that he would ever allow himself to be dirtied in such a way.
I've been invaded. Don't die!
I looked up from my drink and just saw you judging me so hard.
No, I wasn't judging you. I was signaling to my girlfriend who just broke into my apartment.
She can't break in if she has keys.
Shh, slander.
So, yeah, how dare.
Did you hear that?
No.
Okay, good.
Hello, girlfriend.
She says hi. Yes.
But yes, I sent you the goods, so you may peruse.
Thank you.
But how dare you infiltrate my smut Twitter with your
I'm sorry.
With your fetishism.
My fetishism. Yeah, you know.
With your disgusting opinions about these 2 objectively terrible men that absolutely probably have fucked each other.
Of course they have. Oh my god. Having a moment.
It's just so dry. They're just so dry.
Yeah, like that is. You're gonna have to apply a lot of lube to that. That is.
It's just so.
Those are some crusty men. Like literally.
It's just so uncomfortable. and the staples and just, oh, they're so dry. They're both so dry.
And the fact that anything Shigaraki actually touches, kind of,
I tried to do this, but now that it does, I can't rest before I defend. So I still recommend. I mean, that's fine. Like, no one is saying don't do Danmei. Like,
no, like I said, I have tried some. Some of it I
yeah,
didn't like. Some of it I did like.
literally, neither of our points is don't do Danmei. These are just our reasons why it's low on our list. I'm pretty sure we both explained it better in the BL blind spots episode.
Like, I have nothing against it.
Yeah,
like, I really want to like it. And I did like Scum Villain a lot. I just,
sure.
But yeah, do listen to the blind spot episode, because we do explain, we talk about it there and explain a little bit more. But like, none of us have anything against it.
Right. Like, I think I'm in the more like ambivalent camp of like, it's just something I don't understand. Like, I'm fully acknowledging.
I have a friend who's like super into it and does like a lot of cosplays from different domains and is amazing. And and I really, and most of all, like, I'm just happy that people are enjoying BL content, like, regardless of where that BL is coming from. I just wish that there was more literacy, that they knew that it came, it's ultimately it's the same genre, like, and that BL does not only equal live action, or it doesn't only equal Dame, like, but I appreciate all of it.
Yeah, same. Like, I think at this stage, it's sort of like what John Green said about people reading like young adult novels even though they're adults. It's like, I'm just glad people are reading.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if it's, like 40-year-old women reading, fucking Hunger Games. That's not what I care. I'm glad that people are reading books.
Please read. As an author, please read books.
I thought you meant you shouldn't be allowed to read. No.
No.
Absolutely. Please don't take that away from what I was saying. Absolutely not. No. Please. That is the furthest thing that I've said.
And again, like I also said, like, on the opposite side of the spectrum, Dame is important for gay rights in China. Like,
yes,
because even though they have to censor the hell out of it and be like super
good
ambiguous,
friend.
Good friend.
Oh
Yeah.
my god. Yeah, no, by no means am I saying don't read it because it's Chinese. I'm not fucking I'm not Tucker Carlson. No.
Oh my god.
I'm not a Fox pundit. No, I'm not saying don't read it because it's Chinese. I did say I do have concerns about the way it is viewed, especially as this like great culture product, vaguely behind a lot of stuff that's going on in China. But by no means am I saying don't read it because it's Chinese, and by no means am I saying it's bad because it's coming out of China.
We are very anti-censorship on this channel.
We're just very anti-censorship. And that's concerning. And again, like, and it's not an opinion that I hold solely for China. That is an opinion that I have about Korea. That is an opinion that I have about the Philippines. It is an opinion that I have about Thailand. Like, it is not a China issue. There's this entire little region that has been involved with, to be polite, some fuckery that is using a lot of its soft power through cultural icons.
We can see your comments. Don't worry.
We can see them. It's
just we are pathological over-explainers. That is just what we do.
Right. But what my point
no one is upset.
No, literally. Like, that it's okay. Like, but these regions specifically do love using their soft power in between using a lot of these products to kind of brush over, hey, don't pay attention to all this other stuff that's going on. And that's something that America does too. By no means is it an issue that I have with just one thing. But again, it's that thing that I say all the time. None of this stuff happens in a vacuum. None of this stuff is happening on a small scale. So I had a great time talking about villains and villainy. Scum Villain has a ton of smut. I mean, I've heard.
I'm very excited. I'm also very excited for season 2 whenever that comes out because
Yeah,
I really did enjoy it.
yeah.
At first, I was like, "What the fuck is happening?" But then I got into it. I enjoyed it.
Mood. Corolla, what are we covering next month?
We're covering food brain rot, which is a terminal condition that we both suffer from.
Which is a permanent terminal condition. That both of us have. Oh, the Arctic front is on our border. Oh no.
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess
Also,
maybe came from here.
Matthew Perry died yesterday.
Yeah, I did see that.
He drowned, which is very, very sad.
Yeah.
Okay, the novels aren't that censored. Good to know. So rest in peace to Matthew Perry. Drowning is probably the worst way to go. I'm excited to talk about Fujian brain rot. It is this lifelong condition that
I don't think any of us are gonna be cured.
none of us.
Cured. I'm very happy.
I don't think there is a cure. I don't think a cure exists.
I don't want it in that case. This is the one event where I will be anti-vax.
Yeah, if a vaccine is available, I'm not interested in this. Please don't put that out of context. Please get vaccinated against COVID and shit. And other things. But I'm excited to talk about it because there are some not great aspects to it. There are. Sometimes we do too much.
Like dressing up as a terrible human being. So, like, okay, never mind. Don't look at me like that.
Judgmental head tilt.
God damn it, Toma.
Corolla's just mad because I look this good.
Yeah, actually, I'm jealous.
Yeah, Corolla's just mad because like this is me.
I see no difference between the two of you.
Yeah,
actually.
it's the same. I honestly love it. It's fun to be able to ship all the boys. Yeah, so we're gonna talk about that. And I'm excited to talk about it. I'm excited to talk about like shipping and shipping as almost like a condition, like a habit. So
the visual glasses are going on. Actually, they never come off. They never come off.
They're welded to my eyes at this point. And like how that can be an actual limitation. Because like a little prelude to the episode, I remember having that a lot when Across the Spider-Verse came out. That like there is this almost need to like ship everyone together, and I found that I was really uncomfortable with shipping any of these characters, mostly because of like age gaps and stuff.
Is the discourse getting to you?
No, I mean I'll admit that like a lot of that was like personal, because like so especially like Miles, he looks like one of my cousins. Like he looks like he could be like related to me. So like I don't see myself like physically in him, but I relate to him a lot. And a lot of the relationships that you can put him in, especially in like Across the Spider-Verse, are not great. Like it's a lot of like very like aggressive like non-con with him and Miguel, which like that's just a crime. And I'm not here to harsh anyone's yums. Like if that's your thing, it's called Flower Fang. If that's your thing, not here to judge you. But like, I guess like I saw too much of myself in him. So to see him be raped was kind of like, I don't like this. And that's entirely personal. That's just me. Those are my feelings. I am not here to tell anyone that they're wrong feeling that way. But I didn't like that. So there are limitations to when like the Fujin goggles are on. I mean, we kind of are.
I mean, I'm just roaming the streets looking for BL, roaming the streaming services, roaming the comic book store.
I love we are. But like, the clash of the two wolves. There
are two wolves inside of you and they're fucking each other.
There are two wolves inside of you. One wants everyone to fuck each other. The other is the other is sex repulsed entirely.
Oh god. Yeah.
So that's like a prelude to the episode where like there are some limitations with it. Or even like we'll probably again talk about the concerns and conversations that happen around shipping real people. Because that's another aspect to the brain rot conversation. When you're viewing everything through the lens of these men are fucking.
And especially when you did grow up in the cursed early 2000s and had your Fujin growth spurt happening.
Right. So
I
like,
mean, yeah.
so yeah, like there are things to talk, there are conversations to be had, and I'm excited to talk about it. I'm excited to talk about it openly. I'm not here to just bash being a Fujin because the call is coming from inside the house.
I would
Right.
never.
But I also think it's fair to talk about some of the places where it is a little bit limiting and where it can be a little bit problematic. So I'm very excited to talk about it, also to watch Ken Porsche. So if you are not yet a patron, Corolla, would you like to espouse the benefits of being a patron to the Yaoi Shelf?
I mean, you first of all, you get the most unhinged content, monthly exclusive episodes where we are about, 50 times worse than we are on the main episodes and in the lives because that's where we really get unhinged.
Yep,
We play games,
we do.
we have conversations
Yep,
and we read things to one another. It's great. You get these unhinged episodes, you get exclusive merch, you get shout outs at the end of the episodes,
yep,
lots of really. And you get to vote on our Halloween costumes. Thank you to those who voted for us to be some of our favorite gravitation creatures for
creature,
this live
creature is the
creature.
word we're going to use. Fair. Uh,
Chuichi is a gremlin, and no one, and I know because we are the same species.
that is correct. But you also get limited edition special merch. You
Yeah.
get to make some active decisions on what we do, and you get to see fun behind the scene things. It is a great time to be a patron. I'm still surprised by the difference between BL and Domine fans you see. It must be really regional, because it's here in Norway, Hungary, Paris. It's all the same. Yeah, I mean, again, like we're not God.
I
Like
think
it's just
I don't
what we
know.
see.
It could be that Norway is just lagging behind and people are just illiterate. I don't know.
Yeah, and like I mean, the section of the
And I say
internet.
that with love. I say that with
Yeah,
love.
and like the section of the internet that I'm on is my section of the internet. Like it's highly catered. That it might just be an echo chamber. I don't know.
I
All we can report on is what we see.
I was surprised when I find Europeans on the internet in general because I just seem to be surrounded by Americans and Japanese people. That is that is my internet experience.
Okay. Uh, but I've had a lovely time talking about this stuff. It has been a lovely 2 hours. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Stay safe. Be safe out there. Uh,
Yeah,
so
don't take suspicious candy from strangers.
yeah, don't take suspicious candy from strangers, or do. You could have a good time.
You never know. Maybe someone put some yaoi in your Halloween candy. You
That
don't
shit's
know.
expensive. That shit's expensive. I ain't giving that
Yeah,
away for free.
well, same.
Uh, remember, no one is going to give you their drugs for free. Drugs are expensive. Have
Ow.
a great spooky night, everyone. Be safe. We will see you all in the next one. Bye.
Bye.